Well, dear family and friends, over the years I've been asked many times to record some of the solos that I've sung in my 47 years of ministry. From the time of growing up in the little white clapboard United Church of Christ Congregational Church, Ogama, Minnesota, to the years that our family was the nucleus of its choir, I've always seen music as a special part, the heart of worship and praise. A song can lighten the heart, bring joy to the soul. A song can put spring in your step and remind you of God's love. A song can remind you of God's greatest gifts in this season of Christmas, his Son, Jesus Christ. To that end, the Christmas songs that are here are set as some of my favorites, and I hope that you enjoy them as well. Before each song, I will share a little introduction so that you can appreciate the song and perhaps why it was written. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. The words are by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, adopted by many different singers. On Christmas Day in 1863, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was inspired to write the poem that we now know as the Christmas Carol, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day was born out of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's depression. Longfellow had fallen into a depression in 1861 when his second wife, Frances, died. She had been sealing envelopes with hot wax when a flame caught her clothes on fire. Henry had rushed to her and tried to smother the flames, but when the flames of the fire were out, Frances was burned beyond recovery. She died the next day. Henry, burned badly as well, was too sick to attend her funeral. The death marked a turning point in Longfellow's life. His physical appearance changed dramatically as he began growing his beard because of the burns that disfigured his face. Mentally, he sank into deep depression. Winning his wife's affection had taken Longfellow years, and their 18-year marriage was the happiest of his entire life. On Christmas Day in 1862, he would record in his journal, "A Merry Christmas, say the children, but that is no more for me." In 1863, Longfellow suffered another blow. The poet was a staunch abolitionist, like the entire country, but was troubled by the Civil War. His son, Charlie, in March of 1863, had decided that regardless of his father's wishes, he would join the fight. He ran off to Washington to enlist in the 1st Massachusetts Artillery. Charlie's commanding officer soon discovered the boy's influential family ties, promoted him to lieutenant. Charlie believed, though, that his aunt had probably procured him the commission. Longfellow feared for his son's future. In June, Charlie came down with fever. Longfellow went to Washington and brought him back to spend the summer to live at their family cottage at Nahant, Massachusetts. In November, Charlie's own luck would run out. At New Hope, Virginia, his unit was engaged in battle and he was shot. The bullet went through him from back to shoulder, just nicking his spine. Again, Longfellow had to travel to Washington to receive his son at the hospital. They arrived back at their Cambridge home on December 8th, and a grim Longfellow set about the months-long process of trying to nurse his own son back to health. The circumstances challenged his resolve, but he was inspired when he heard the bells. He found in them a message that peace could come again to a troubled nation. They inspired him to write the poem, Christmas Bells. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men, and thought me as how the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men, till ringing, singing on the way, the world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black, accursed mouth, the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the heartstones of a continent, and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Charlie never did return to fight, despite his wish to. He was honorably discharged in February 1864. Longfellow's poem, published originally in a magazine, would be set to music in 1872, but the middle stanza is often removed. Here is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. I thought as now this day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rung so long the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. I Wonder as I Wander is a Christmas hymn written by folklorist John Jacob Niles, based on a song fragment that he heard while traveling in the southern Appalachians. Niles derived the germ of this song from a young daughter of a traveling evangelist, then composed a complete folk song that he performed while accompanying himself on the dulcimer. In his notes in an unfinished autobiography, Niles writes, I Wonder as I Wander grew out of 3 lines of music sung for me by a girl who called herself Annie Morgan. The place was Murphy, North Carolina, and the time was July 1933. The Morgan family, revivalists all, were about to be ejected by the police after having camped in the town square for some little time, cooking and washing, hanging their wash from the Confederate monument, and generally conducting themselves in such a way as to be classified as a public nuisance. Preacher Morgan and his wife pled poverty. They had to hold one more meeting in order to buy enough gas to get out of town. It was then that Annie Morgan came out, a tousled, unwashed blonde, but very lovely. She sang the first 3 lines of the verse, "I wonder as I wander." At 25 cents a performance, I tried to get her to sing all the song. After 8 tries, all of which are carefully recorded in my notes, I had only 3 lines of verse, a garbled fragment of melodic material, and a magnificent idea. Here is John Niles, "I Wonder as I Wander." I wonder as I wander out under the sky, how Jesus the Savior could come for to die, for poor hungry people like you and like I wonder as I wander out under the sky. When Mary birthed Jesus, 'twas in a cow stall, with wise men and farmers and shepherds and all. But high from God's heaven a star's light did fall, and the promise of the ages it then did recall. If Jesus had wanted for any wee thing, a star in the sky or a bird on the wing, or all of God's angels in heaven to sing, he surely could have it, 'cause he was the King. I wonder as I wander out under the sky, how Jesus the Savior did come for to die, for poor hungry people like you and like I wonder as I wander out under the sky. Come and Behold Him, a sixpiration piece that was with the words and music written by John Chisholm and George Searcy in 1993. This is a praise song for worship, inviting you to see the Savior, the very Son of God. Here is Come and Behold Him. Come and behold Him, come see His glory, come with an honest heart to see all He is. We will discover all of His beauty, His light will burn away all the darkness we know. to see all he is. Come and behold him, come to his mercy, come find his tenderness reaching out to you, just as a mirror shows a reflection, his word and spirit come now reflecting his love. Come and behold him, come and behold him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come and behold him, wait not before him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come and behold him, come filled with wonder, come see the Christ draw near, a Savior is born. In his redemption, we find perfection. Come now be feeling, our Messiah has come. Come and behold him, come and behold him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come and behold him, wait not before him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come and behold him, come and behold him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come and behold him, wait not before him, come with an honest heart to see all he is. Come with an honest heart to see all he is. After the song of the angels is stilled, work of Christmas begins. The words and music are by Dr. Eugene Butler. After the Song of the Angels is Stilled was written and set to music by Dr. Eugene Butler, a respected composer, conductor, educator, and church musician. To date, Dr. Butler has over 750 published compositions with 47 different publishing houses, as well as numerous unpublished manuscripts. He is frequently busy on commissioning new works, and in any given week of the year, the music of Eugene Butler will be heard in thousands of performances throughout the English-speaking world. Impetus for this song comes from a poem written by Howard Thurman, When the Song of the Angels is Stilled. Here is After the Song of the Angels is Stilled. The work of Christmas begins. After the song of the angels is the work of Christmas. Here it is told to you. What is the work of Christmas? The Scriptures tell us after the song of the angels is still, after the storm is gone, after the kings have returned their way, then the work of Christmas begins. After the stable is empty and bare, the holy family is gone. After the shepherds are back on their flock, then the work of Christmas begins. To make music in the heart, the work of Christmas begins. The Birthday of a King by William Harold Needlinger. The lyrics and music for The Birthday of the King were written by William Harold Needlinger in 1890. No other information is known about this beautiful Christmas carol. The song has been recorded and performed numerous times over the years by various artists. Maybe his work was inspired by the passage from Jeremiah 23:5 that reads, "I will raise up a king who will reign wisely." Needlinger was born July 20th, 1863, during the height of the Civil War in Brooklyn, New York. In 1890, he finished a 2-year apprentice and was organist at St. Michael's Church in New York City. He conducted numerous choirs in New York City and in Philadelphia, and from 1898 to 1901 was the singing teacher in Paris, France. Upon his return, he settled to Chicago, Illinois, and was considered a prominent singing teacher. He composed 2 operas, Ulysses in 1901 and Sweet Anne Page in 1903. He turned his interest to composition and child psychology after finding success with his book, Small Songs for Small Singers. He eventually abandoned music and established a school for the handicapped children in East Orange, New Jersey. He died on December 5th, 1924, in Orange, New Jersey. Needlinger's The Birthday of a King contrasts the humble little village of Bethlehem with the glory and the greatness of Jesus Christ who was born there. The refrain focuses on the wonderful appearance of a host of angels and how that was a fitting celebration for the birthday of a king. Here is Harold Needlinger's The Birthday of a King. And the sky was bright with a holy light o'er the place where Jesus lay. Hallelujah, oh how the angels sang, hallelujah, high rang, and the sky was bright with a holy light. 'Twas the birthday of a King. 'Twas a humble birthplace, but oh, how much God gave to us that day. From the manger bed, what a path has led, what a perfect holy way. Hallelujah, oh how the angels sang, hallelujah, high rang, and the sky was bright with a holy light. 'Twas the birthday of the King. And how the years have passed on by since Christ was born that day. Yet still the sound makes hope abound for those who hear and say, hallelujah, oh how the angels sang, hallelujah, high rang, and the sky was bright with a holy light. 'Twas the birthday of a King. Christmas, the words by Jenny Lou Carson and music by Eddie Arnold. Jenny Lou Carson, a forgotten pioneer of country music. She was a prolific songwriter, and in 1949, Carson collaborated with Arnold on Christmas, in which the singer talked about his youth and all the toys that he'd be getting, only to realize as he got older that the holiday had a much deeper meaning. Each of the letters in the word Christmas stands for a part of the biblical story of the Christ child. The song is summed up with the repeated line, and that's why there's a Christmas day. Christmas peaked at number 7 on the Billboard country charts in 1949. It was overwhelmed by several bigger holiday hits, including Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Gene Autry and Blue Christmas by Ernest Tubbs, both of which were number 1 country hits. But Arnold's hit wasn't completely forgotten. It was recorded by such singers as Rosemary Clooney, Perry Como, Jim Reeves, Ricky Van Shelton over the years. Here is Christmas by Jenny Lou Carson and Eddie Arnold. When I was but a youngster, Christmas meant one thing, that I'd be getting lots of toys that day. I learned a whole lot different Christ child, born upon this day, age for herald angels in the night. Our means our Redeemer, I means Israel. S is for the star that shone so bright. T for three wise men, they who traveled far. M is for the manger where he lay. A's for all he stands for, S means shepherd's cake, and that's why there's a Christmas day. C is for the Christ child, born upon this day, H for herald angels in the night. R means our Redeemer, I means Israel, S is for the star that shone so bright. T is for three wise men, they who traveled far. M is for the manger where he lay. A's for all he stands for, S means shepherd's cake, and that's why there's a Christmas day. The Peace Carol, words and music by Bob Beers. This gentle song from the folk era of the 1960s achieved even greater popularity when it was performed by John Denver and the Muppets, featured in a 1979 television special, John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. It is now a classic, performed worldwide. It will bring a moment of quiet reflection on the meaning of Christmas. Here is the Peace Carol by Bob Beers. The garment of life, be it tattered and torn, the cloak of the soldier is weathered and worn. But what child is this that was poverty born? The peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day. The hope that has slumbered for 2,000 years, a promise that silenced 1,000 fears, a hope that can humble an ocean of tears, the peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day. Add all the grief that people may bear, and total the strife and the trouble and care. Put them in columns and leave them right there, the peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright olive, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day, the peace of Christmas Day. O Holy Night, words by John Sullivan Dwight and music by Adolphe Charles Adam. This strange and fascinating story of O Holy Night began in France, yet eventually made its way around the world. The seemingly simple song, inspired by a request from a clergyman, would not only become one of the most beloved anthems of all time, but would mark a technological revolution that would forever change the way people were introduced to music. Since that first rendition at a small Christmas Mass in 1847, O Holy Night has been sung millions of times in churches in every corner of the world. And since the moment that a handful of people first heard it played over the radio, the carol has gone on to become one of the entertainment industry's most recorded and played spiritual songs. This incredible work, requested by a forgotten parish priest, written by a poet who would later split from the church, given soaring music by a Jewish composer, and brought to Americans to serve as much as a tool to spotlight the sinful nature of slavery as to tell the story of the birth of a Savior, has become one of the most beautiful and inspired pieces of music ever created. Here is O Holy Night by John Sullivan Dwight and Adolphe Charles Adam. O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared, and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary soul rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. On your knees, oh yeah, the angel rises, oh night divine, oh night, when Christ was born. Oh night, oh holy night, oh night divine, led by the light of faith, serenely beaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. So led by light of a star, sweetly gleaming, here came the wise men from the Orient land. The King of Kings lay in a lowly manger, in his love and his cause for his peace. Chain shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ